Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the Aloha Friday with the Sandwich Island Social Network. It's a series of interesting, fun conversations sharing the lives and journey of people in our island community. I like to say it's island people and island hearts. The Sandwich Island Social Network is a nonprofit organization that serves Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart who are away from their island homes. Sandwich Island Social Network is a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and tax-deductible PayPal donations are gratefully accepted at Sin Radio 808 at gmail.com. So please like and subscribe to our channel because all of our programs are put onto our YouTube channel. You're notified each time new island content are added. So today we are so excited and just really delighted to have on our program Jesse Sapolu, a four-time NFL Super Bowl champion, a San Francisco 49er for 15 years, a co-founder of the Polynesian Hall of Fame on our Aloha Friday with the Sandwich Island Social Network. We're going to talk about professional football, the campuses of Farrington High School, University of Hawaii. We'll talk about the presence of Polynesian athletes in the NFL and their part the culture plays in their success. So, not further delay, we'd like to welcome to the Aloha Friday show, we call him Coach Jesse Sapolu. How's it, Coach?
Thank you for having me on, Brother Kamaka Brown. It's always nice to be on your program, and especially when it's talking story about our culture, sports, what it's done in my life, and just life in general. And I'm honored to be on your show.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, this is a live chat-driven, interactive show, and right away we have folks already jumping in, and they want to say aloha to you and to you. And jumping in right now is Coach Marty Burns. Right now, aloha, brothers. There's
Marty was probably waiting at about 11:45.
yeah, yeah. And thanks so much because a couple of weeks ago, Coach Marty called me up and he said, "Would you like to have Jesse Sapolu on you?" I said, "Absolutely." He goes, "Well, let me see if we can make it happen." So thank you, Coach Marty. And here we are. Here's Pualalea Hanamai Ka'i, all the way from the Moku o Keawe. This is in the slopes of the Kohala Mountains on the Big Island.
Aloha.
So there she is. And what else? Let me see. We also have Auntie Hetty and Duha says even Uncle Larry is on. all the Ohana jumping in over here. Here is Trina. Trina is saying aloha, cousin. Always good to see the cousins over here. And we also have Leilani, and she is also calling out to Chad Watanabe, hey, join us today. And Marty says, that's very true when I reached out to you. So nice, so nice. And so there we go. We off and starting. Here is Cindy. Cindy is, if I'm not mistaken, San Miguel, California, a Kaneohe girl originally. But she's jumping in. Aloha, Cindy. Welcome, welcome. And Pualalea says, great to see you on the Sandwich Island Social Network. You are inspirational. Oh,
Thank you so much.
That's really, really nice. So let's talk about your journey, Jesse. And you and I have talked several times over the past couple of days over here, and we say, well, maybe where to begin, and we say maybe kind of at the beginning if we can. I know that you were born in what is known as Western Samoa now, as opposed to American Samoa, independent Samoa. And your family moved to California for a while. You ended up in Hawaii. And here we find Jesse Sapolu, 6'2", 250-pound teenager, attending, first you were Damien, and then you went to McKinley. And so now you're a McKinley Tiger. You're there. Well, so you didn't stay too long at McKinley. Was it the food? Was it they never like you?
Well, I went to Damien for a year, my freshman year, and we're going to talk about my heart condition later, and why that didn't work out all 4 years. And then because I went to a Dole Intermediate out there by Camp 4 Housing, most of my friends from Dole School went to Farrington. But my sister went to McKinley, so for some reason she begged me, come to McKinley, you can play football there. So I went to McKinley, and I didn't quite fit in because I didn't have my friends. And of course, when you have low self-esteem and you're not happy, I ended up going to Capena Falls to swim 3 to 4 times a week, or go to the beach and not go to class. And that first semester at McKinley, I had 6 Fs.
Oh,
And when I speak uh, to places that I speak at, like schools and even with the 49er faithfuls, I always talk about my past, and I bring up that I had 6 Fs my first semester of my sophomore year, and the only reason I had 6 Fs because I only had 6 classes. You know, if there were 7 or 8 classes, I would have ended up with 8 Fs. But then my McKinley kind of terminated me from there. My parents came, and I could see the hurt in their eyes, and I promised them that if I could transfer back to Farrington, I would try to turn my life. And that was the start of my career, my life changing.
so here we have Marty talking about Auntie Hetty, who is also on. Auntie Hetty and Uncle Larry are on. Auntie Hetty is a proud
Oh,
Farrington
gosh.
alumna. Go go! So now at Farrington, you meet Coach L. Espinda. Uh,
Yes.
he stays in your mind even so many years later. Why?
Well, because like I said, I was a big young man with no direction and low self-esteem. And I heard stories about Ellis Binder, how he was a mean coach, but he was a total opposite when I came through. He sat me down and he says, you have your whole life ahead of you, and it's up to you what you can do with it. But if you believe in yourself, I think this is what he said. I think you can be a special person that can make a big difference. So to start with, I would go to class. I'd be sitting in my math class, and in the middle of the math class, the teacher would interrupt the class and look at the door and say, "Oh, hi, coach, how you doing?" He would poke his head in, and he walked from his PE class to my math class to make sure I'm in class. And when someone cares for you that way, it changes your life. He became another father figure for me, and like I said, that was the start of my life trending upwards.
It sounds like he believed in you and he saw your potential and wanted to be
Mhm.
part of your success story. All these, after all these years. Um, so you go through the high school years. In fact, you shared with me earlier over here um, on Farrington. Um, Here's the Farrington team, and uh, you said you found this on Facebook, huh, Coach? You,
Yeah, I found it. Some of the Farrington uh, alumnus had it on their Facebook, and I'm like, oh wow, this is nice because I don't have a lot of pictures, but thank God for social media that some of my classmates or some of the alumnus from Farrington had some pictures and they posted it because we didn't have any phones or any. We had those wind-up box cameras back in the
right?
day, and so we don't have a lot of the memories that we wish we could have,
Yeah.
um, compared to the kids today.
And there you are. They put an arrow there. Said, "There you are, Jesse, right there with the team." Oh, great picture, Mahalo, for sharing that. So you go through Farrington. Farrington Governors were a team to be reckoned with, even back in the day, for sure. And here's Auntie Hetty coming in. I'm a Farrington grad, so proud of her being a governor over there. Um, So we go through the Farrington years, and now you're a senior, and of course, the college scouts are out there looking you over, and so you get the interest. Arizona State is interested in you. They're calling. Oregon, they're interested in you. Michigan is interested in you. University of Hawaii is also calling at this time. So is there a the decision making for you, and of course this also involves your family because you were the youngest and the only boy in the family. You had three sisters, right? And so
Yes.
now Mama is and Dad are looking at their youngster here. What's going on?
Well, in those days, you were only allowed to take five uh, official visits to visit the five schools that recruited you. Today, because of social media, you see these kids that say, I've had 30 offers, I've had 35 offers, some up to 45 offers.
Wow.
Um, and I just want to say it was Michigan State that recruited me, not Michigan. I don't want any Wolverines to say, wait. But, the attraction to me to Michigan State was Baba Pisa was there before. Um, but Arizona State had a lot of local boys. And I was recruited. I was one of the top two recruits coming out of Hawaii with a great player named Wayne Apuna. And Wayne Apuna had his brother was already a junior at Arizona State. Al Harris, who came from Lelehu High School, that ended up being a Chicago Bear, was there. He just graduated, but of course they bring him in during recruiting weekend. And I came back. My flight back, I came back and I made up my mind. I wanted to go to Arizona State. The campus was beautiful. Everything else that they showed us. But Dick told me never really gave up on me. Uh, he appealed to my parents. And one of the things that Dick told me is he found out what was important in the Polynesian culture, the Samoan culture in particular. And that one of the Mufi Hanneman's brother, Gus Hanneman, Dick told me, if you go to Jesse Sapolu's house, you sit on the floor. You sit on the floor. So when Frank Cush came to our house, he sat in my parents' recliner, out of respect upon this. And my sister would be serving cookies and sodas, uh, for the honor of him coming to our house. But when Dick Toby came, he came in flip flops. He sat on the floor, and my parents had to go and stand him up and put him on the couch. It was all part of recruiting, and it was a great move on his part. And that sold my mother especially. And back then we didn't have social media. You write letters that takes forever to be in contact with your kids. We had phones, just the regular home phones. But it was a lot harder to get away from Hawaii back then compared to today, where we have kids in Alabama, like Tua. We got kids all over the nation because they're not afraid to come out anymore because other people have blazed the trail for them.
So Dick Tomey won over the family, your mom in particular. And the mama said, UH it is. And off you went to the campus in Manoa for your college days as well. And Tehedi says, my nephew played too, Sanford Kaniao, but grad earlier than Jesse, I guess, from Farrington. So she had family that
Awesome.
played as well on there. Yeah, thank you, Auntie Hetty. Appreciate that. That's good. So now we go through through UH here, and they. How was your time with the University of Hawaii? Any memorable things happen that stayed with you through those
Well,
years?
there were some great times. I continued to grow under Coach Tomey as a young man because he was very demanding. I thought there were days I thought he had some Samoan in him, because he pulled out the whip and that made you strong as a young man. And one of the things that he said to me when I had to make a decision between UH and Arizona State is, do you want to go to a program that's already established? Because at that time, Arizona State was number 2 in the nation. Or do you want to stay home and play in the front of the people that were behind you since you were 10, 11, 12 years old, and play in front of them. And he says, I promise you, if you play well enough, you can accomplish your dream of going to the NFL. And thank God things worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next step is professional football as you come to the close over here. And of course, the players, many have a dream of playing in the NFL. And here comes the draft. And what's going on now when the the draft is very different today than it was back in the day, right? What are the differences with the draft as you know it today and back in was it 2012, 2011, right around there? Um,
Well, the draft now, there's 7 rounds. You know, when I was coming out in 1982, I was in an 83 draft. There were 12 rounds, and all 12 rounds were all in one day. And it wasn't on TV, so you didn't really find out fast if you got drafted or not. The first round or second round, third round guys, they get a call right away. You know, they call your home phone and let you know that you got drafted. So the draft is started in New York. I think it was 8 o'clock New York time or 7:30. That was 4:30 in Hawaii, or yeah, 4:30 in Hawaii. And I didn't get drafted till about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So I waited a good, what, 14 hours to get my name called. And I actually got a call from the Philadelphia Eagles saying that they were interested in picking me. But at the time, they were calling me the 49ers, which was a pick before, snatched me from the list of NFL draft choices. So it was a little different. But now, but still, they took the first round guys and take them to Radio City, New York, and treat them like, because those are the so-called, cream of the crop. Uh, I was so far away from even going to Radio City, New York. But we talked about it that the best thing is that in 2012, the 49ers chose me as their legend to go and make the draft choice. That's what the NFL does now. They pick up their name players, so to speak, and have them go to New York, or now the NFL travels. So wherever the draft is, and they go up on the podium and make the draft choice. So for me to be there showed me how long I've come from that day in Hawaii when I was sitting in my apartment and waiting forever to get drafted. It wasn't even close to going to New York. So I felt like I'd come full circle.
Wow. Wow. What a journey. What a journey. You know, we were talking about Polynesians in professional athletics and in particular the NFL, playing football. And Al Lolotai came up in our conversation as on record the first uh, Polynesian Samoan football player. And this was back in 1947. And
Yes.
he actually was a trailblazer that opened so many doors for Polynesians, Maori, Tongan, Hawaiian, Samoans, coming through that door and playing in professional football, including, and I know you number off, but what also came up in our conversation was Baba Pisa and a number of others over the years. And when we think back, they not many Polynesians playing professional football, but that group and these groups of athletes from all the way from starting with Al Olotai down to present day, uh, they're completely a different breed from the rest of the group of athletes because of their culture. And what else can we attach to that really sets the Polynesian professional athletes apart from the rest of the athletes that are playing in the professional sports?
Well, just to give you an idea of why it was important to establish the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. I'm still the alumni coordinator and public relations ambassador for the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers first team was 1946. That's the first team the 49ers ever had.
Wow.
Al who's a Polynesian, was the first to play in the NFL for the Redskins in 1947. So it just goes to show you how deep the history goes. I didn't know that. We did, until we researched into it, and it was important that we can't let that history go. So when I came through, it was important to honor those that came before me. But when I came through, in my first year, there were 6 of us Polynesians in the National Football. By the time I retired, we're probably at 14 to 16 guys. Now we're close to 100 guys in the National Football League. But when they compare it on a per capita basis as far as population, uh, a Polynesian kid is like 16 times more than any other nationality to make it to the NFL. Now, why is that? I think right now, and even Coach Marty can attest to this, it's very normal for a Polynesian kid to be 14 years old and weigh 260 pounds before they even enter a weight room to know how to lift weights. I played with Caucasian players, some African American players who would eat 4 meals. They would carry their meals around with them, and then they have 3 shakes that they have to drink every day just to maintain their weight. The Polynesian kids were the other way around. We smell a donut and we better watch out. We might gain 5 pounds. So the gene, as far as how it fits into this particular sport, was what the coaches saw, and they started recruiting Polynesian kids. But the great thing about it, Kamaka, right now is we were known as the Jesse Sapolus that are linemen, guys up front, guys that are strong, big. But today, we're starting to make a move as far as we can play the quarterback position. We just had our first Heisman Trophy winner about 4 or 5 years ago in Marcus Mariota. Tua Tagovailoa, if he didn't get hurt, would have been the number 1 ranked quarterback coming out of the draft 2 years ago, last year. And yet, if you look down the line, we got some kids, Kamaka, that are in college right now. There's a kid at Clemson. There's some other 8th and 7th grade kids that are really, really tall and that can really throw the ball. So we're about to see some exciting times as far as how we evolve, not only be known as linemen and linebackers, but also, or defensive linemen, but also guys that can play defensive back, and especially the quarterback position, because we all know that's the most important position on any football
Yeah, I just came across this over here, and this takes me back to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was your UH picture over here, playing playing at the UH here. Who do we have in the picture, and how old were you
team.
at this one here at UH?
I think I reported in. I just turned 18. On the left hand side of the picture, in a yellow shirt, it was a longtime mayor of Kauai, Bernard Cavallo. And then in the middle is Kesi Afalava. We were all a freshman class together as linemen. So we decided to take the picture, and I laughed when I saw that picture because it reminds me, I didn't even know what a shampoo was until somebody bought me a bottle and said the Irish soap wasn't good for your hair. So you know, and our afros were so big that you just grab it and you can reach your nose, and that's when you know it's time to wash your hair, so to speak. So, but those are the memories that people ask me all the time. What do you think about when you're sitting in that locker room, getting ready to play in the biggest football game in the world, which is a Super Bowl? I don't think about nerves. Of course, I'm nervous, but I think about how in the world did I end up there? Because there are millions of other kids around the United States that want that spot.
Yeah.
So when I think about my 6 Fs that comes up, I think about when I couldn't even afford a shampoo, or I didn't even know what it was until you learn, socially what it was and how important it is. Uh, Humble beginnings is what makes you not afraid to go out and perform, because I was put there for a reason. It wasn't by accident. Of course, it took a lot of hard work, but it took a lot of the prayers of my family, our people that are very religious, because you just can't do these kind of things by yourself.
Right. Pulalia says those are beautiful afros. She loves that. She goes, we have a great friend of ours, Melvin Lee. She's saying Talofa
Oh,
Jesse.
oh, yes. I got to spend time with Melvide and her husband at one of our 49er games.
She
And
says mahalo for a memorable trip. And she says, did you know me and Russ Francis did commercials together while he played for the
yes, I
49ers?
remember. I remember. I grew up watching those commercials. So, yeah, of course.
Ah,
And the funny thing about it, Melvide, is that growing up, sorry about that. Growing up as a football player, I said, oh, maybe one day I could be in one of those commercials if I work hard. Seriously, because it was important. It was very, very important to see someone on TV. In those days, TV was very important because there was only three major channels. There was not all these cable channels. So when you get seen on TV, you've accomplished something.
ah.
And you know, and then later on in my career, I started making quite a few commercials and. But yeah, absolutely. Russ Francis was my teammate with the Niners,
Ah.
so I remember those days.
Here's a great friend, Saliva Atisanoa. He's in Tokyo. He goes, I'm
Wow,
up. It's 4 a.m. I'm listening from Tokyo.
wow. That's
Uh,
that's you know the great Konishiki was like a little brother to me, and growing up, I'm so proud of his accomplishments. We always communicate that we need to get together, but because of his schedule and then my schedule, but with the pandemic, everything that's going on, we understand how important it is to make the effort to get together, and we'll do that, brother Saleh. Thanks for coming on.
he's saying, Malo, Malo Uso.
Yeah.
um, um, there's my cousin, Lopaka Brown from Eva Beach, that's checking in saying, Aloha, Jesse.
Aloha, Lopaka.
Lopaka is a great singer songwriter. He is an entertainer, and they're good. Melvin says, back then I could throw a good swift spiral. She has an arm.
It's when they came to visit one of the 49er games, and I got a chance to talk with them and take them around, and she got to spend some time with my wife. You know, I I have to catch myself because I still look at her as a celebrity, but she was so down to earth. We had a great time at the 49er game.
Yeah, that's great. And Auntie Hetty says that she's been a 49er fan since Matt Hazelton played. I
Oh
talked
wow!
with his aunt in Santa Cruz. We used to pick his wife up in Palo Alto and go to the home games. Ah, a lot of
Wow,
great
Matt is a big part of my alumni, and those days was at Kezar Stadium. Absolutely,
nice,
yeah.
nice. Um, and here is here's Mo saying aloha from California, checking in. We love it.
See,
Uh,
I know Mo and Marty are together somewhere eating plate lunches, making fun of me. You know.
you know what? We all gotta meet over at Auntie Miley's in Torrance, and
I know. I've heard about that place for a long time now,
we do
and
that.
I've promised Marty that we're going to make it out there, but I haven't quite made it out there. But when you see people posting their food, it's unbelievable.
Pulalia says, "I bet you can still throw that spiral. I bet you get a good arm there, Melvin." And Melvin says, "Yes, I still can. No, no mess around." That's so good. And Melvin every week on Sunday she has a great live broadcast on Facebook, and she
Wow.
plays great music and talks story, and it's also an interactive. So you can follow Melvin Lead on her Facebook page and enjoy her music as well. Here's Sally. He says, "Here's a question for Jesse. What's the most important for young ones to be prepared, to get them prepared for getting high school and to get a college mentality? What kind of advice or would you give to our young people wanting to get into uh, college football?
Well, I think it's understanding the system in America. We all come. I came from Samoa and um, you know come here the land of opportunity, and a lot of our kids or cousins that uh, are presented that opportunity don't quite understand what it takes. Not because they lack talent or lack smarts. They just don't understand that an education will get you in the front of the line. Getting that degree can help you get in the front of the line. Uh, Saleh and I, Kunishki and I, we're lucky that uh, we excelled at our sports to where uh, we was able to take care of our families. But 99.5% of the kids will not make it to the NFL on Sunday. So you're looking at 0.5% that will play on Sundays. But you can go to school, use football as a vehicle to go to school, get an education, and then come in and help your family situation and get them away from whatever situation that you're struggling with. I think if you understand that and then focus on the plan to get that done, whether it's through football, through volleyball, or through anything else, one of the things that's important, Kamaka, with the reach of the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame is that we don't want to be known as a people that's just good in football. We want to be known as good at everything else. The young women, you can be whatever you want to be. You can be a lawyer, a doctor. But what we realize as far as the reach of football is that if you go to Pittsburgh and you apply for a job and you walk into the CEO's office and they see the color of your skin and they ask you where you're from. And if you say you're from the islands, they're going to say, oh, so Troy Polamalu, that kind of thing. If you go to San Francisco and they say you're Polynesian, you're Samoan, they say, you're familiar with Jesse Sapolu. It opens the conversation. That's the reach of football or athletics that can help all of our other young ladies and young men. Uh, that's the push of the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. Is not just to get you to play football, but to get us so strong that it helps all of our other kids the best way we know how from the industry of playing football. So our reach is we're not just trying to promote football players. We're trying to be so positive in communities that when our young women want to apply for something, that image is already positive in the minds of the people that make decisions.
Saleh says, thank you. Great answer, my brother. Yes, very true. That's a great answer as well. Um,
Thank you, brother.
yeah, all the way from Tokyo. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Here's Eric Yamaguchi, who is in Torrance. He says, I met you when your daughter was playing volleyball at Chaminade University with my
Yes.
grandnieces at a
Wow.
match in Northern California. So,
I remember that.
yeah, very good. Marty talked a little bit, and we shared just a little bit about the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. And he's saying if you haven't been to the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame Museum at PCC, Polynesian Cultural Center in Laia, you got to go. An awesome presentation of Polynesian players. Let's talk about you are one of the co-founders of the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. How did that happen there, Jesse?
Well, I went on about 6 to 7 trips to Samoa on a goodwill mission, led by the June Jones Foundation. Coach Jones was a hot name uh, because he came to the University of Hawaii and turned that program around when he was struggling. But also, June Jones really, really loved the Polynesian people. He would go to Samoa and start looking for diamonds in the rough. He found Isaac Sokwanga playing volleyball barefooted. He didn't even see him play football one down, but he saw that he was 6'3", over 300 pounds, and could jump out of the gym. And he stopped his car and recruited Isaac. Well, you
Wow.
know, uh, 7, 8 years later, Isaac was making $20 million with the San Francisco 49ers. So So June has always had that love for Polynesian people, but for 6, 7 years, we would go to Samoa and hold camps. But it's not just a football team of coaches. It was also nurses and doctors. Uh, it was a goodwill mission. So we took medication, we took X-ray machines to help improve the hospitals. But during those 6 years, we would go from school to school. And on the school bus, June, we were discussing history, and Alolotai's name popped up, and we kept pushing it back. We thought the first player was in the 60s, we were way wrong. And then June looked at um, me and Ma'a Tarawasa and says, well, it'll be a shame if you guys have this long history and how football is taken off in your Polynesian community. If you forget to honor those that came even way before you guys, and it's a way of us bringing the present players together to be proud of their culture. And at the same time, we've developed a national TV game that brings in the top non-Polynesian high school players in the nation to play together with the top Polynesian high school players. And during the week, they learn a lot about culture, and they also go to the Arizona Memorial. So it was important for us to bring all those parts together, because if we don't, and make it something that people are very proud of. And we talked about that, Kamaka. There's a young man from Waianae that played with the Niners, great young man, great parents, DeForest Buckner. He just signed a deal that pays him $21 million a year. And human nature is, why would I need anybody else? Why would I need anybody else? But when I speak to camps, like even in Samoa and back home in Hawaii, I would say to kids, I said, it doesn't matter if I won 4 Super Bowls. When that blood runs through my elbows on the football field, it's Samoan blood. It's Polynesian blood. At the end of the day, that's who you are. Money will come and go, but you have to preserve the foundation of who we are. And that's based on faith, family, respect, and humility. And it's is it tough for the kids today? Absolutely. But we're not going to stop trying, because we need to make sure that our kids respect who they are and the roots of who they, the foundation of their being.
Wow. Here's Pula Leah with her. She's saying, yes, yes, coming and saying, that is so beautiful. That really, really is. Melvin says, Joe Montana almost bought a beautiful black stallion for my friend on Molokai. Um, you played a number of years with Joe Montana as well. Yeah. Too.
Yes, I played 12 years with Joe.
Yeah. And let me see. Marty
But
said,
that's the difference. That's the difference between quarterback pay and center pay.
yeah.
He can buy a black stallion.
From Molokai.
I'm just hoping for a used Nissan Sentra overlay.
Auntie Hetty has proudly shown me your autograph she got from you. She cherishes that too. And have also another friend who is watching. His name is Nate Jones, and he said, "Oh man,
Hey,
I remember meeting Jesse Sapolu, getting his autograph." At the time, Nate Jones was working for ESPN and was very much a part of what was going on there as well. Um, I wanted to share also uh, this shot of the you, and I believe this was at Farrington High School.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
what was the occasion? What was happening here, Jesse?
Well, I would say 5 years ago, the NFL decided to honor the high schools of all the players that won Super Bowl championships. And the great thing about it is the NFL brought some of their officials from New York and focused in on Farrington. Everybody else got their footballs too. Some of our great players. Ma'atanu Vasa won 2 Super Bowls, so I went to help present his football at Mililani High School. But the NFL films were at Farrington High School, and they had Michael Irvin, who was a nemesis to me from the Dallas Cowboys. come in and help present my football to my high school. And the principal made it a whole school assembly. It was a beautiful thing. And the funny thing about it, and that's what I love about Michael Irvin, is we did the Samoan Tawalunga to end the festivities. And he was dancing a whole lot better than I was, and he was mad. He was mad when the song was over because he told me, I was just getting into rhythm, man, and the song ended. But it was a great time to come back and be with the school that gave me everything.
Very nice. Melvin says, very true. No matter what profession, it's who you are and how you end up as. Like the song title says, I gotta be me.
Absolutely.
And you said humility, respect, faith, and family, all as part of who you are. And so much of this has been part of the DNA of Polynesian athletes through the years. That has definitely earned their place. And trailblazers as far back as, like we said, 1947 with Al Lolotai, and that continues down to today as well. You said something in one of our conversations that I resonated with me, Jesse, and I want to share this because we were talking last night, and you said, you know, it may have said San Francisco 49ers on my chest across the front, but on my back it said Sapolu. And on my shoulders, I was carrying my family, my culture, my tradition, who I am, and all of the Polynesian players before me and who to come after me. I thought that was such a strong statement. There's a Hawaiian word, a kuleana. Someone said that was like your responsibility. You carried that in your name, your family name. Share a little bit about that. That still continues, and you share that also with the young athletes that you work with today.
Well, I think it's important because you know, that's who you represent. And especially as you climb the ranks, you realize that your reach is a whole lot bigger than what you thought. It was an adjustment for me to realize people actually care for what I was doing. You because it took a while to get away from that mentality. I'm still a kid from Kalihi that can just walk down the stores and nobody cares, and you just buy a candy or bubble gum and walk back home. But as I started climbing the ranks, and you realize that, hey, if you step the wrong way, uh, people are going to care who you are, how you carry yourself, how you influence other people. That's one of the biggest things when you realize that you have an influence on a lot of people. It was an adjustment for me. But I also realized that influence carries a responsibility, the responsibility of who I am, who my family is, and the people that have prayed and worked hard for me. I didn't make it out there by myself. There are coaches that when I was a knucklehead that pulled me, into the right direction. And there's times when I was sitting in Hawaii getting ready for the Pro Bowl, I'm thinking, now I get invited by guys who had just as talented as I was when we were coming up. And after a few drinks, they would speak their mind, say, "Jess, I should have listened, man, or I would have been like you." And there are many times when it was a close call for me. If I would have gone a little bit to the left, the whole picture would have changed. And I realized that you walk a fine line when people start paying attention to what you do. And that fine line is representing your family, your faith, and your people the best way you can. Now, I'm far from perfect, but if you're conscious of it and realize how important that is in your life, then the chances of you getting in trouble is far from happening. We have a lot of football players, as you know, that have left millions of dollars on the table just for acting, irresponsibly. And that was so important to me. And I think that's what separates Polynesian kids from a lot of other culture, is because we still have that family foundation that even if you lost your dad at a young age, your auntie and your uncles will cover for that to raise you. That's what's special about us. Other cultures, from what I've learned, and being teammates with a lot of, they don't have quite that family deep bond to help raise our kids. And am I afraid that we might lose it now with all the influence of social media? Yeah, I am afraid, but it won't stop us from trying to make sure that we maintain it the best we can.
Melvin says, remain humble. Feel the dirt of your aina between your toes to remind you always where you came from, your roots. So true. So true. Mahalo for sharing so many beautiful thoughts over here. Here's Marty. He says, my son was wearing Jesse's jersey in Honolulu one day, and when people saw it, they were screaming Jesse's name and honking their horns and throwing the shaka.
I
Yeah.
I told Marty it would have been impressive if his son Christopher would have gotten a free bus ride from wearing that jersey. You know,
Pulalia says, your foundation is an organization that is doing such great work. Was eternally grateful when I was working with the Pacific Talent Academy of the Arts in California that your foundation supported our efforts to get Polynesian kids using their talents and getting into college. Eternally grateful for your work. Um,
thank you.
let's talk about now. There is also and I have my note over here on the where's my we were talking about Sapolu Men in the Trenches Linemen Academy. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Uh, you know, I'm a lineman through and through, and the people that play uh, offensive line or defensive line, there's a certain mentality uh, that has to be within your heart and in your soul to excel at those positions. Number one, unselfishness. You have to truly not care about if your name is in the newspaper on Monday after the game or Sunday. It's a certain unselfishness, the team-oriented thought process that is instilled in linemen, and for that reason, we kind of migrate towards each other, whether you played the position in high school, college, and in the NFL. Um, but when we had specialized quarterback training here in Orange County, started about 20 years ago by a man named Marinovich, Tom Marinovich's dad, who was a quarterback for the Raiders. Then everybody kind of went into special training, but it was only with quarterbacks and wide receivers. But those of us that played, especially offensive line and D line, understand that there's a lot of fundamentals and a lot of technique that it takes for you to excel as a lineman. It's not just show up with a big body and they point you here, go hit this guy, go hit that guy. It doesn't work that way. So I decided if they have these specialized type of training, why can't we do a lineman specialized training and dedicate 8 to 10 weeks and see if the kids improve their game? And once we started doing that, it started to take off slowly. Again, it wasn't easy because you know uh, when you win 4 Super Bowls and you start something like that, the line coaches in high school are a little hesitant to send their kids to me because their thought process, I found this out later, is that they think I'm going to say, well, who taught you that? Well, that guy doesn't know anything. But we talked about this last night. The fact that these men dedicate 4 hours of their lives every day to come help your son out play football, that's them dedicating themselves to your kid. How can I uh, criticize anything those people do? All we wanted to do is teach kids fundamentals. If they're ahead of the curve, teach them advanced techniques, and hopefully when they go to their school, it's easier for their coaches to coach them. So we're going on our 13th year, believe it or not, now for Men in the Trenches, and it's been pretty good.
Wow. Melvin says, talking about your comment about, she says, we don't do this by ourselves. Our family support, our fans, our believers, and our God given talent pushes us to the top. And very, very, very true. Also, we have Merlin Rocco is saying aloha, Jesse. Got Rocco
Aloha, Merlin.
popping in over here, and let me see a couple more comments have come in as well. Melvine has said mahalo for your time with us all, Jesse. Gratefully appreciated. So
Thank you, sis.
the Polynesian um, Football Hall of Fame is based. I mean, you can go and see a wonderful display when you go to the Polynesian Cultural Center. You walk in. You said it's right there to the left. You can see all of the display and all the information there, and you also, have uh, initiated into the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame a number of players. You, I believe, it was the second year of 2014,
Mhm.
15. You were an inductee into the Hall of Fame as well. And, through your years, however, there was something that was going on from Damien High School forward all the way through your professional career that was still kind of lurking behind. And these were some health issues you were having. Let's talk a little bit about that and the progression, what was going on. That's quite a story there, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a youngster in Samoa, I contracted rheumatic fever. I found this out later when we moved to the States, but I remember my joints were swollen. I couldn't walk, you know, and my parents would take uh, me to Samoan masseuse. You know how the Polynesian fufu, that's really, and it was the worst thing they could do because they thought it was sprained joints or anything like that because we didn't have the access to the right doctors that would give you the right information. And then when we came to the States and the symptoms came back when we were in Hawaii, I was hospitalized a couple of times, weeks at a time at Wakini Children's Hospital in Kalihi, and they found out that I had a torn aortic valve in my heart, and I couldn't play PE for the longest time, even though I was the biggest kid in class, and that really hurt me inside. I really didn't care at that age about the consequences of my health. I just wanted to play basketball, play uh, baseball, and football, but I couldn't play. So as I got older, I went to those trailer clinics at Kalihikokua, to where we joke about it today. The doctor just goes 1, 2, 3 with a stethoscope, and
Yeah.
and he signed off on a physical. And this is before social media. Before social media, what happens in Waianae, you don't find out in Kalihi until sometimes 2 months later. And and I was able to play football through that. But the thing is, as I got more successful, my name started coming up in the newspaper, and uh, the hospital found out that I was playing. And then when I came to the Niners my rookie year, the physicals were at Stanford University, which is the top, probably medical school on the West Coast. And the team doctor for the 49ers then found out that I had a heart murmur. And when you're trying to invest money in an athlete, you're not going to take chances, especially with your heart. But the great thing about it is that they were so good at Stanford that a cardiologist said, if you played 4 years at high school and 4 years at the University of Hawaii and survived it, let's measure, do what we call an echocardiogram, measure the walls of your heart every year just to make sure it stays the same. Because when you have a torn aortic valve, your heart has to work harder than a normal heart that's healthy. Because when it pumps, the valve doesn't close completely. So it leaks blood for the next pump. And obviously, the heart is a muscle. So I illustrate it this way. It's if you bench press 200 pounds, you get bigger. But if you bench press 450 pounds, you get way bigger. So my heart is comparable to a guy that bench presses 450 pounds. And when the heart gets bigger, now you're in dangerous territory. But when the doctors at Stanford realized that I already played 8 years of football, they monitored that situation. And then I played 14 years of doing that. I go once a year to Stanford for them to look at it with the echocardiogram. But it was after my 14th year, they said, oh my gosh, the league is so bad now that you're like an 80-year-old guy that has to climb up one flight of stairs and sit down and catch their breath. And they asked me a question, say, you don't feel like you're about to fall over on the field? And like I said, Kamaka, my mindset was just to play. I said to him, yeah, I'm tired, but the guy I'm playing against looked like he's tired too. It's almost like my mind just kind of blocked all of that stuff away. And then I knew then I was in danger of being cut by the 49ers because they're not going to want to be responsible for a guy that's going out there in danger. But then they came up with a new procedure from Europe called a Ross procedure, which instead of using an artificial valve or pig's valve, which would have ended my career, they did what they call a cadaver valve, a Ross procedure, which would allow me to come back and play. And because I wanted to be, I wanted hope for the kids that are big like me that had rheumatic fever, that they can play and live their dream. I came back and I played after open heart surgery. So that's what that book was about. I gave my heart to San Francisco, only because I played my whole career in San Francisco. So it was only fitting that, we found some success there, and that I give that book the title. A lot of people make fun. Well, Tony Bennett left his heart there. You gave yours. I said, well, I don't think Tony Bennett brought 4 Super Bowls to the city by the
bay. This book, I Gave My Heart to San Francisco. One of the things that is said about it is 4-time Super Bowl San Francisco 49ers legend Jesse Sapolu lets you deep in his chest to see the heart of a champion. From sideline to game time, learn what it takes to protect the backfield with one of NFL's tightest offensive lines ever. From operating table to Lombardi Trophy, highs and lows, the hurt and healing, a true American success story about a hero who gave his heart to the team and the city he loved. Wow. Someone who read it gave this review. This is Jesse Sapolu. He's a straight up guy, truthful and faithful at the same time. If you want to read a rags to riches story of a great football player, a great American, then this is right up your alley. Read I Gave My Heart to San Francisco. What more can we say?
Well, the thing is, Brother Kamaka, I get a little scared when I hear those things, only because I'm not perfect. But what it does is it motivates me to keep going and keep doing my version of giving back to our community. Like Melvin Lead and our entertainers, they entertain us. If you're depressed, you're not happy, their music is soothing to the soul. So we all contribute in different ways. I just use my platform as a football player to try to do my part, and like Konishiki from Japan, and how many he's given back to our community. And if we work together and do our part, I think our youth is in good shape.
Yeah. Leilani says that is truly amazing story there. Eric Yamaguchi says, my son, Troy, is varsity offensive line coach at Aliso Niguel High School.
Wow.
So glad we are playing our opening game tonight at Tesoro High School. Thank God our football season was saved here in Orange County. So Troy and his team, Aliso Niguel tonight.
Yeah, it's been exciting. The game started yesterday, and there's more games tonight. It's nice to see some kind of normalcy happening after what we've been through with the pandemic.
Yeah. Here's Auntie Hetty. She says, we now have the TAVR process to replace the aortic heart valve. I am living proof that it works. Bless you for your book. So Auntie Hetty went through that too as well with her heart as well. Wow.
It's amazing, Auntie, because the American Heart Association chose me as one of their spokesmen about 3 or 4 years ago. And just to look at the work that they do and the advancement, even before, even after it's unbelievable, after my situation, and I helped them out with, they had a float at the Rose Bowl, and I was able to ride on that float to represent the American Heart Association. So
Nice,
thank you very much.
nice.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we have this as a a little uh, memento of your uh, your years of working with the 49ers. And these are those Super Bowl rings, four of them for four different seasons with the 49ers. And they represent a number of years. Now, we're just looking at it. So this was 84, 88, 89, and 94, where you're with the 49ers, and four-time Super Bowl champion rings that you do have here. That is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and a acknowledgement of your years of doing great work. And so Leilani says, so where should we purchase your book from? Um, I saw it on Amazon.com. I don't know if you have some
Hmm.
at your home, and sometimes I
No,
ask.
we'll contact. We have the publisher that still have the books,
Sweet.
and we'll get that information to you.
You know, you said something about it's kind of high tech here. What did you say about using the phone? What was that you were sharing? I was going, what?
Well, just show you. I'm a kid from Kalihi, and even when they wanted to write a book about my heart condition, I didn't realize that when you read a certain page, right, and you read about that experience, you can actually scan a certain thing on the book, and it pops up in video the exact experience that I was talking about in the book. And I'm like, that's possible? Really? How can that be?
How cool is that?
I know. I didn't even know that was
Who
possible.
knew?
So
Who knew?
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So
There's poor Aaliyah that says here's the one of the points that you can look on Amazon as well. And you shared something also that I thought was so cool. You went back. You were invited to the Pro Bowl. You were a Pro Bowl selection two times. And early in your when you were a kid, we were talking about you never have color TV at the house. You only had black and white. And it just so happened that there was a market. Let me see. There was a market on the corner of, what was it, Liliha, and I'm trying to.
Liliha and School Street.
Liliha
Liliha
and
and
School
School Street.
was a market owned by one Korean man who had great icy machine. And you go down there, and he had a color TV. And you would go down there,
Mhm.
hang out, and watch football. You and him and whoever else stopped by. And years later, you back for the Pro Bowl, and you cruise by this store. What happened?
Well, it wasn't that I cruised by the store. I
Okay.
made it a point. I
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
go there and see. We were staying at Colina. Colina was brand new at the time. The resort, all the Pro Bowlers were staying there. But I said to my wife, I want to stop by, because I wanted to show that man that he made a difference in my life. Just letting me sit there and watch TV with him, and hopefully he was proud of how far I've come. And that I made it a point to drive there to see him. And at first he had to take a double take, because I looked a little different. But when he realized it was me, he got teary eyed, and I got teary eyed because that's what life is. That's what life is about. You can motivate one young person. It's amazing what can get done.
Yeah.
That was a great experience for me.
Yeah, great story. Great story. Oh my goodness. You know, Jesse, we could go on talking for another hour about all different
And,
stories as well. We come pretty much to the end of our time together, and we want to thank you, first of all, for accepting our invitation to come and join us, sit down virtually on Aloha Friday with the Sandwich Island Social Network. We want to say mahalo to all of our friends. Here's Marty saying Jesse is a two-time All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowl as well. Absolutely. Every Friday we have interesting folks from our community. I like to say Island People, Island Hearts on our Sandwich Island Social Network Aloha Friday show. And if some of our friends may say, "Oh, I have friends that have missed it," normally in about 2 days or so, we will drop the entire episode on our YouTube channel, Sandwich Island Social Network YouTube channel, and we'd like you to please go like and subscribe so you won't miss out on all the content that we add every single week. And we have some folks that want to say, Sali Ba'a is saying, Fa'afetai, Lava, Jesse, all the way from Tokyo. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
After you so.
That was sweet. That was sweet.
Yeah.
And the Rocco is saying, mahalo, mahalo for sharing, inspirational experience. So good, so good. So
Thank you.
we wish you all the best, and mahalo to Lisa, is your 24/7 tech support over there. I don't want to leave out the fact that Lisa and your whole family over here. You have Leela, Luke, London, Roman, 3 grandchildren that are all part of the
Yeah.
Sapolu team over there. So we want to give our aloha to
I
all.
know. I'm still trying to get used to being called Papa, but I'm starting to enjoy it a lot now. But before we end, Kamaka, it was an honor for me to be on your show, Sandwich Islands. I will follow it now. Thank you to all the great successful people that I saw get on the show. I just want to thank you also, and everybody like Melvin and Kondishki and Coach Marty and Coach Mo for making a difference in young people's lives. Because at the end of the day, that's more fulfilling than any amount of money that we can make. And I realized that through my experience, and it was an honor to be on the show. And it was nice to talk story with our people.
Yeah. So again, God bless you. Thanks so much, and we will come to the end of our session together with just a big mahalo and a great blessing to all of our friends. And right now, we will come to the close of our show, and we just go out with just a little bit of music, and it kind of comes our way, kind of soothing. There we go. Music by Dennis Suarez from Big Island. That's his original music called Dolphin Dreams. We like the Dennis. And just pull up one more thing. I am hello, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you next Friday on Sandwich Island Social Network. Aloha Friday. Aloha, Jesse.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. God bless you.